Get on here. Hopefully, TikTok don't cut me off. Maybe I don't say nothing that's so offensive. But I want to talk seriously about America. America the Great, right? Both sides, you have a Democrat and you have the Republican. Both sides of these parties love to say what the other person's problem is, right? And for years and years, we always hear the propaganda of black on black, right? And you have people on the right side who debates that, right? It literally debates this. Oh, the black community, they doing this and they ain't doing that and this and that and blah, blah, blah. They have so much to say about that, but they never talk about their own. They never talk about people who we know on their side have mishaps and downfalls, right? We know this. But the whole campaign of one parties, because the other parties do the same thing too now. The other parties always talk about, well, we need to protect the kids from, what's happening in these schools, right? You always talk, the Democrats slightly talk about the white on white crime because majority of the Democrats are white people. Who runs the Democrat Party are white people. So they not going to tell you about the white on white, what they do. You know what I'm saying? They only, we just need to get rid of these things, as if that's going to stop them from the white on white, right? It don't. Now, the situation with Charlie, I personally agree with a lot of things that this man says. I agree with a lot of stuff because it's just the truth. It's there. And a lot of stuff that I see that he say, I don't agree with. So that's human. That's America. That's what you do as an American. You can agree or you could disagree, right? And that's the American thing. But we always want to skip over the white on white. Y'all talk all stuff about white on white, on black on black, but you never talk about the white on white. Y'all just brush it off talking about some guy who had a weapon. And you want to ban the weapons. You never talk about the mental of the white on white. You see what I'm saying? It's a big problem with the white on white, but they never want to put that in the media or put that as out there as the propaganda, right? So, like I said, with Charlie, I agree with a lot of things that man say, but he never talk about their problems inside of their house as well. See, when you sit up there and you point a finger, it's 3 fingers pointing back at you. Look, when you point your finger at somebody, it's 3 of them pointing back. 3. So that means 3 times the shit that you talking about one person on they shit, it's 3 motherfuckers' fingers pointing back at you. And they never talk about that as a whole party or a community or a non-human person, right? Because they call themselves mankind, a kind of a man. So when you talk about the humans, you always say the black on black, the black on black, the black on black, the black on, as if that's a problem. But you never see the problem within your own household. Why can't we get them to stop the white on white? Nobody want to talk about that. Why is it a white on white? Huh? Y'all so perfect and everything going on so good. You know what I mean? Why is so much this white on white stuff going on in America? We got to try to stop the white on white because it's harming the good values of America. America is not prospering because of the white on white. They want to stop your Constitution rights because the white on white, not the black on black. Y'all, it was bad because Here in California, you can't even get a menthol cigarette because what happened to black people. They say black people, oh, they dying of menthols. Menthol cigarettes. They ain't say just cigarettes, right? They didn't get rid of the cigarettes. They got rid of the menthols because the black on black. You know what I mean? So, rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. And I'm so serious about that. Nobody should ever lose their life. You know what I'm saying? Especially about what they say, because that's how I feel here on TikTok and this social media and stuff like that. Because anything that I say, I get persecuted. I get cut off. People erase the things and all this other type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? They restrict me for a certain time period, whatever. So I feel what Charlie went through. You see what I'm saying? I've been going through it for a long time on social media because the things that I say, like I say, a lot of stuff, I agree with Charlie. I agree with him. It's some things that I be like, okay, that come from your little whiteness. That's that. I see where that's at. I know where that comes from. But a lot of stuff he had great points about because that's what's going on in America, and you can't deny it if you've been around long enough. And evidently, he was only 31, so he learned a lot of stuff from older people. He knew a lot of older things that's going on and the way things happen here in America, and he kind of understood that. So he would speak from truth. You know what I'm saying? And it hurts people's heart that, you know what I'm saying, that you got to tell a grown person that it's only two genders. And you're in college or graduated from college and you don't have the sense to understand that it's only two genders. Something wrong with you, and that's mental illness. He's not wrong for saying that. So I do agree. Like I said, it's a lot of things that he agreed with, but he would not talk about what's going on in their household, right? And what I mean by that, rather if it's their community or their party, you know what I'm saying, the white on white. See, that's the problem here in America. We have a problem with white on white. You try to blame it the black on black. But truthfully, what it is, it's the white on white, because their mentality is so barbaric that it has to be an end to it. Because if we look at the nature of the blood, the DNA of the rhesus monkey, we all know how savage that can be. You know what I'm saying? And we see it come out in their actions through war, through relationships and everything else. And this is what happened, a white on white. Somebody stood way somewhere else, wasn't strong enough to go talk to this man, you know what I'm saying, and have a conversation. They felt that they needed to be on a roof somewhere and hit this man and where it hurts. You know what I'm saying? I truly believe that, you know what I'm saying, that guy shouldn't have lost his life because of his point of view. And that's that, and that's that. I don't care what you is, a Democrat, Republican. I don't care how you feel about him or what gender that you called yourself or what community that you belong to. No man or woman should lose their life because he has a point of view about what's going on. The way that his perception of seeing things. And talking to other people, and they realize that type of thing is going on, and having people to agree with you is not a way to unlive a person. That's not a way to get your point across, because you and your feelings, you so emotionally that you have to go out and do this to somebody. You know what I'm saying? That just proves the point of what Charlie really died for what he believed in. And he proved the point by having somebody to do this to him, that he was correct. He was correct in what he believed in, because now society has got so weakened that you won't even be a man and talk to him. You will stand way somewhere and do something to him and then think that is justice, because your emotions had taken over to a point where you don't know how to talk to another man. Your upbringing and your schooling has been so weakened that you don't know how to communicate, have social skills with a man face to face. You'll stand behind a computer or a phone or some type of device, or stay way somewhere and do something to hurt somebody. This is crazy. You proved this man point. You proved the point that this man was correct in everything that he said, that this is the core value has been destroyed in America because you didn't you implemented all this mental illness in the upbringing of your children, and now they can't even hold a conversation with a real man. You got all this feminist stuff going on where these boys can't even deal with society face to face as a man like they supposed to as soldiers. You got them running, cutting tail and putting on makeup and stuff and hiding behind buildings and throwing rocks. So like I said, man, I'm not trying to, be on nobody's side, but I'm here to tell you, like what y'all did to that man, you know what I'm saying? Young man, he was a young man. He was only 31 years old. He younger than my oldest daughter. Let me say that again. He's younger than my oldest daughter. And for him to just voice the words that he wanted to say, how he wanted to say it, and y'all did that to him or whatever, that's cowardly. Who stand behind that? Don't no real person stand behind nobody that's that coward. You threw your rock and hid, hide your hand now. That's what we always talked about. We talk about being accountable for your stuff. And this is what shows, if this what the political thing is all about, this is why my people is standing back. We ain't with neither one of these parties. We know it's a two-headed snake. But like I said, when you sitting here in the house talking about black on black, you never mention your white on white. You hide your hand when that problem come out. And these type of things that we see have recently occurred, has always been, even with the 9/11 like today. That was a white on white. That had nothing to do with no Arabs in a cave somewhere. That has nothing to do. That was a white on white. So now we look at one the day before the bigger white on white that they did, which was 9/11, when you had an implosion as if somebody came and shot, missiles at a building or something. You won't talk about the Pentagon that actually got hit by a missile. You said it was an airplane, but you still came. So that's white on white when you lie about it. When you lie about it, talking about, yeah, it was a dude in the cave that was on dialysis that did this. That's white on white. So now we in a mourning situation of a young man with the white on white. You talk about the church situations a couple of weeks ago or a week ago or something like that been happening. That's white on white, but nobody make a big old fuss about that. But when you talk about black on black, when we don't even make guns, when we don't even provide, we don't even grow poppy seeds in America and manufacture anything as a black on black. But here go the white on whites that's got control of all these things, and you still have this problem. Check that out. Here go a people, black on black, who don't have the right resources and get blamed for everything, the reason why America the way it is. But here go people with all the resources, all the government official jobs and lawmakers and stuff like that, and you still have white on white. So what makes this white on white better than a black on black? Because of the finance? These people got all the money in the world. They making trades with different countries and stuff like that, and they still got white on white. But they'll point their feet. Look at them, them black on black. The black on black, look how they do in their community. They've been through so much and they still act this way. They got everything in the world and they still act this way. Make it make sense. Hopefully I don't get kicked off or they erase this, because this is very educational. If you want to help the world, you want to help America, especially on 9/11 with white on white, when basically, you blame everything on black on black. Why we don't even point the finger at the white on white? Why we don't even make a gesture to say, hey, this is a problem. They got all the money in the world, all the schooling in the world, all the government, the housing, the land, the animals, the food, and they still got a white on white problem. They still got a white on white problem. But you'll blame the problems coming from the people who has the less, who don't have the way to grow economically. People financially not wealthy. You know what I'm saying? Don't have no land or nothing like that. Animals, they can't even grow food in their community because y'all got laws to restrict that. You done got redlining jobs of allowing somebody else from another country to come and take over the business and country that black people had started and created and been going on for years. But you blame those people. But what about the people who got all the money, who got all the political power? They still having white on white. Look what they did to Trump twice in 1 year. White on white. Nobody talking about that. Nobody raising a finger. Why is it not on the crown? Why is that not the head of any newscast? White on white. White on white. What's going on in this country? White on white. Because it's happening in their community. This is Utah. You think they was going to have any colored person roaming around that castle in a valley amongst all those beautiful whites? You think they was going to allow? No, you had to be in your own community to do something like that. So now the white on whites in their own community, which even the Catholic Church, all those people who y'all never point the finger at with these situations just happen at the Catholic Church, at these schools, all these schools in Columbine, Sandy, and all this stuff. Y'all, Sandy Hook, right? It was Sandy Hook. Y'all don't point the white on white. Why we don't never see the title white on white? You'll show put it in and when something happened in the black community, you know what I'm saying? Another case of black on black. When will they ever learn? Well, these are people that's living in poverty, don't even have the necessary means to even try to get. You throw a bone, you got to imagine 20 people trying to rush and get that bone. And they willing to do anything for the bone. But you come over here to the people, you know what I'm saying, on the right, they got all the bones. They got meat on their bones. They even got a dog house that's got sand in case it get cold. You know what I'm saying? They even got, you know what I'm saying, they could come in the house when it even get colder than that. And they can live down in the basement. It's already set up for them with a pen cage. Okay? And you mean to tell me they still having these white on white problems? Why are you the rich conservative, you the rich liberal and all this stuff, right? And you still having these problems. Why? Why? I'm talking about the Democrats and the Republicans. Why is your community having white on white problems? Since you got it so down packed, you got it so well, you can go out and lecture other people at colleges about their genders and about how they should live inside their house and what they vaccination their kids and all this stuff. How does a people who have all the resources be as equal as the people who do not have the resources? You got black on black, and what about the white on white? You don't mention the white on white. But you love talking about the black on black. And when we know the white on white is the major problem of the black on black, why don't we talk about that? Why is it a conversation when we look at the headlines at the TVs or the newspapers or something, another white on white here at Sandy Hook School? Another white on white with Charlie Kirk took the man out. Why we don't have that? Why? Because we love talking about the black on black. We love talking about it. Thank y'all for coming in and even listening to me, man. I applaud y'all for coming in because somebody got to make the conversation. They love talking about, this black, but historically, let's go down historically. How many times historically since they was in the cave and out of the cave? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? In the cave and out of the cave. When was the last time they didn't have white on white? When we know they was in the cave, they had white on white. They came down out of the caves and spread it out, and they still had white on white. They had it so much white on white that the queen said, "You know what? You can go out and catch some cannibals, right? Catch some cannibal people, a tribe of cannibal people. Make them come back and build your country so y'all don't have to fight." So we even know that it was somebody that had to take time out, let them go and be barbaric all over the world to somebody else instead of their own cousins, to build their country so they won't be jealous of each other. We know this. So why we don't never point the finger at this when you didn't, did this to black on black people for 400, 500 years to put them in a situation of mental trauma. But here go you who have gained from that mental trauma, have everything that you need, and you still have your white on white. That's incredible. That's incredible. I salute to all the people who recognize this and who will speak out about this or talk about it, because it's something that needs to be said. It's something that got to be said when it comes down to this. You know what I'm saying? That we'll sit here and blame everybody for the reason why America the way America is, right? We'll blame everybody for the reason why America the way it is. But the truth is, we never point the finger at the people who actually have all the money, who have all the power, and look inside of their households. When you point your finger at somebody, you got 3 fingers pointing right back at you. When you point your fingers at somebody, so when you sitting there talking about other people's households and you ain't got your house together, this is the thing that always come out and it shows. But what it does, the media will hide it. Will hide it. And the same thing that man talked about, he wasn't lying about anything that he was talking about. It just proved the point. What he was talking about was true. That this country has went so soft. We have allowed so much idiotic things to go on to the point where everybody is sensitive. You are emotionally. You know what I'm saying? You emotionally. Everything is emotion. We want to feel the reason why. And that comes from putting too much feminine women in their ideas. Remember, their ideas, that doesn't mean that it's going to work because they got an idea. That's why a man has to lead, because sometimes the stuff just don't make sense because a woman make it up. You out here talking about leaving no kids behind. You talking about sitting up here talking about gender bending and all this other stuff like that. Now, this is the results of gender bending. You will let a little boy sit up there, be indoctrinated to believe that he's not what he naturally meant to be. And now he goes on a roof somewhere. Stand back as a coward, not a man, and come and talk to this guy face to face. As a man. You stood cowardly way back in the distance and did something to somebody to harm them. I think that is the results of what America has come to now, with all this weak education, with putting all this inappropriate things inside of the institution building. Right? Let's just say that you put all these things that you took out art, you took out music, you know what I'm saying? You took out home ec, you took out industrial art, stuff like that would build America, and talk about somebody else's behavior in the bedroom. That's the main topic now in schools. And this is why I took my kid out of school and made sure that he was homeschooled and not around all that weird shit that these people have come to believe and indoctrinated our children to be soft and weak, right? So now we see somebody's child who went through that school system so much that they can't deal with social things. They don't have social skills where they can come sit down and have a conversation with a person. They had to stand somewhere far away to harm this man. That's a coward. And that's the results of what American education has allowed within the last 30 years. Within the last 30 years of what they have done, I would say further than that, because when they put in the Ritalin, the mindset of the drugs giving kids liquid crack and stuff like, yeah, that messed up a lot. And some parents were smart enough to not let their kids do that. And they talking about, oh, the kids got ADHD, absent dad home disorder. You know what I'm saying? And want to give them, you know, stuff for that. And this is the mental thing, because you got to remember, that community, their females were on Valiums. They were pill poppers. They did it all the time. That was the whole thing. And when they couldn't pop the pills or whatever, the men would put them into an institution. Their men would put them in an institution. So now those females are teaching your black children. This is the mental illness that's going on in this country. And now that we see what happened to Charlie, it's a part of it. When you allow somebody like Hillary Clinton to call intelligent black children who knows what's going on, who you allow them to call them a super predator. And y'all went after these children. I was one of those children. Luckily, I didn't get caught up with none of that stuff or whatever, very few. But I seen what happened. What they doing to the Mexicans now, they did to us in the 80s and the 90s. It ain't no different. They got all the little funding and the police forces and new divisions of the police force to come after us, scoop us up off the streets and stuff like that, detain us, put us in detention centers and stuff like that. And they gave us whole mandatory 1 to 5, mandatory sentences and stuff like that, right? This is what these people did. So now you look at what America do. They own white on white. This is the nature of them. You can't change the nature of a lion. He's going to always roar. He know he's a lion. But see what you have done. You have created enemies that will watch you in your demise. That's what you have done. When people was there to help you, to prevent you, like the medicine lady, the voodoo lady and stuff like that, the man who plowed the whole land and stuff, a part of the sharecrops and all that stuff, those people who you messed over, the ones that was your nanny who let your little kids breastfeed your little kids and stuff like that, clean up your home, iron your clothes, send your kids to school, you messed that up. You thought you was going to replace it with a Mexican. Yeah, you thought you was going to, and black people in 95 said, oh, Mexican brother, come on and take the job, because we quit. We ain't going to do this no more. So now, the fingers that you was always pointing on black, it's starting to show. From the 90s, and now we're in the results of the 9/11, when they knocked down their own buildings. They did that to their own people. And now they still trying to this day, want to put in your head that somebody else did it. That was white on white. That was white on white. When did the Arabs get in there and put the dynamite in every 10th floor? When did they put the dynamite down in the basement part of it? When do you know structure of metal will fall right down in its own footprint? From an airplane, when the force, if you ever went to school, say for instance, this is the plane. Now, put you in mind, my feet is planted. This is just the top part. How do all of this just decay all the way down to my feet? Yeah, make it make sense. When we talk about white on white, we never point the finger at the white on white that we see all in this country, these kids in these schools. We see what happening to them, and when you allow the stuff to come over the border, that's all white on white. Right now, you go into any black or brown community in any country, in this one, you see a bunch of what they call that regenification. How did they come down here and start slumming and becoming, you know, the problem of the communities of the black on blacks or the brown on browns? How did the whites on whites come down into this situation? Because the white on white crimes is bigger. Oh yeah, you can't go out to the suburbs and place a tent there. put up an encampment in front of some of their buildings and homes and stuff like that, but you can come down to the black on blacks and the brown on browns and set up a whole shop. You ain't got to do nothing. You lose a limb and everything down here. You see more white on whites rolling around in wheelchairs and got limbs and sores and stuff on them. Why they people ain't helping them? Y'all got all the resources. Why is your people down in the community with us? Huh? Was that boy, was Charlie lying about that? Was Charlie lying about how all this stuff is affecting white America? You got more white people in the black community than the black people. Let me say that again. Right now, I live 2 blocks away from MacArthur Park, and I bet you can count more white people than you can count Mexicans or Latinos. And they only over there using the bad stuff. They bent over. They got the finny fold. They rolling and crawling around through the streets. I mean, literally crawling across the street because their limbs is gone. They done fell off. Because we know white on white is worse than any black on black. And it's going to only happen in their community. So why in their community we call the suburbs and all this stuff is going down in the suburbs? Y'all talking about it's going down in the DMs. It's going down in the suburbs. Look at all the stuff that they go on and the things they be doing. You know what I'm saying? Y'all still screaming about the Epsteins. Huh? Y'all still screaming about that. Why ain't nobody talking about the white on white? That's white on white. Even though there's other people twinkling out of that, but it was white on white. Nobody talking about the Epstein. They hide that. So now, I'm just saying. As Malcolm X said, the rooster, the chicken is coming home to roost. It's always been that. Who killed John F. Kennedy? Who assassinated John F. Kennedy, the president of the United States? Was it anybody other, or was it white on white? Who tried to take out Trump 2 times last year or this year? 2 times. 2 times. Was it black on black? See, we can point the finger, but when you point the fingers, look, 3 of these fingers pointed right back at you. Always. Now, I know y'all might not say, y'all don't know who I am, and that's good. And if you do know who I am, and if you could say anything about me, I'm just going to tell the truth. That's what it's about for me. Rather I get on here, they take me off, restrict me or whatever, I'm going to tell the truth. And I like telling the truth. Because I have children and I have grandchildren, right? And I want them to know somewhere down the line, if they ever 100 years, 1,000 years, and they see something like this, they want to know, hey, my ancestors stood on it. They didn't back down because somebody felt ashamed for what they have done throughout history to my people. No, he didn't turn away from that. He told the truth. And he didn't care about how you felt. My legacy is more important than anybody else's emotion, feelings. So I'm going to tell the truth. And the truth is, America loves blaming black on black for everything that goes on in this world. But we see that these black on blacks is less than fortunate people. But let's talk about the people who got all the money, all the resources, everything that you need, and they still have white on white. They still have white on white. As much as they walk around with a pointy nose up in the sky, funky smell through their sofa, ammonia aroma through their body, they try to act as if they were better than anybody. And the truth is, they worse than all of us. They in a worse position. They still at the position that they were when they were still living in the caves. When they walked on all four and they were hairy. I mean, I'm sorry, I take that back. Furry. You got to have this to be hair. This is hair. That shit they got on their body is fur. So we see the barbaricness. And the barbaric is just because that man had a conversation, he was talking to people that was inspired by him, or you didn't have to participate if you didn't like it. Right? You ain't have to participate that event that he was talking at if you didn't believe in what he said or whatever. But somebody who was in their emotional feelings, right, unlived this man at an event where other people who was there to learn something. They were there to learn something, or to even feel that, you know what, I was right about something. You can't get mad at somebody that they agree with something that they see, they experience in life. These people are experiencing life. So you can't tell them that's not what it is when you know the facts right there in front of you. See, it's one thing that you're sitting up there telling me that just because you got on lipstick and you colored your hair and put on a dress that you're a woman. You're not going to tell me a lie like that. You're not going to lie to me like that. You can't lie to people. And people see every bit of your lies. They know the truth. Regardless, especially when people went to school and learned, take the picture of the boy and line it up to the word boy. You don't turn it to the girl, because if you turn it to the girl, you're going to get that answer wrong. So where in society that we change that? And common sense. So if you got people to say, hey man, this is what I know to be fact, not what I believe, I know to be fact, and you can't change me. That man shouldn't have to lose his life because of he knew something to be a fact. Y'all mad because we won't allow you to be so weak. That's the problem with America, right? Why are the men so strong? Why are they so hard on making a basket? Or why are they just so adamant of... Because we never would have a Michael Jordan. We would never have a Garrett Morris. We would never have a black female who they called a computer because the white on whites didn't know how to calculate math so good to where you can get out of space and get back home. Yeah. Yeah. That's why you do that. But since you have people who have mental illness, lazy, and don't want to do nothing, don't even clean their body correctly, won't even wash their body correctly, tell you how to raise your children, what to eat, what vaccinations to take, and all this stuff. They got all the money to do all that type of stuff to tell you, but they don't do it themselves. They actually hire nannies and stuff to do it for them. Yeah. Tell them to go cook in the kitchen. Couldn't cook you nothing, but they got millions of dollars. Millions of dollars, but couldn't cook a good meal for their own kids. And to truth be told, got millions of dollars and don't even have good sex. That's why they men go out and do what they do. That's why they go out and get other women, have mistresses and stuff, because the woman they got at home, she ain't even good at what she do. Millions of dollars, but tell you how to raise your kids, how to keep your man, and what you should do and what you shouldn't put up with and all this other shit. But she winds up lonely, and the mistress and her kids get all the money like Jerry Springer did. Jerry Springer gave all the money, all the stuff to his mistress and his mistress' kids. Jerry Springer did when he died. He gave it all to them. The wife and them two white kids, the white on white, he didn't leave nothing. No, he left it to the little black on black. He left everything to the black on black. Why is that? because he knew he wasn't appreciated in the white on white. Mm, 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 mm. But I'm gonna get in here. Y'all got some answers or questions for me while I'm on here or something? You know what I'm saying? Y'all got some questions for me? Y'all need to, because I'm gonna make me some coffee real quick, man. If y'all ever in St. Louis, man, go down to Sue Lord. I'm in LA, but go down to Sue Lord, man. They got this coffee right here. You see what this, man, this coffee right here, boy, y'all can order it too. Right? Matter of fact, I'm gonna plug them. Where the other one at? They got the Mayan chocolate, right? The Mayan chocolate. Here go the number right here. If y'all can get that number off of here. Y'all can get that number off of there, man. They got that Mayan chocolate, boy. That Mayan chocolate good too. But and the aroma is so good of this right here, man. And everybody gonna come knock on your door, be like, man, what you in there doing? what you in there doing, man? I'm making coffee. This coffee smells good, boy. But yeah, man. At the end of the day, I just come on here, man, and just wanted to say, man, what they did to Charlie, man. I don't think no man should have to go through that. I don't think that that was some cool shit. I don't think that was cool. You know what I mean? I agree with Charlie on a lot of things. And some things I didn't agree with Charlie on. You know what I'm saying? I just thought it was more of a white on white mindset of saying some shit like that. But it was a lot of things that Charlie said that really, really made sense. And was historical fact. And that's what's wrong. Sorry. That's what's wrong with America. See, America wants you to forget what they done. You know what I'm saying? Because when you go to American history is really shameful. The things that America has done to people is very, very shameful. So people don't like to bring up American history. And so this is what happened when you bring up American history. People get mad and they do little silly shit like what they just did to Charlie. You know what I'm saying? Charlie was a young man who probably was educated by a lot of elderly white on white. You know what I'm saying? And he was really knowledgeable about American history, current events, right? He was really, really knowledgeable about that stuff. And that's why I agreed on him, because I lived that life. What he was talking about, which he didn't live, I actually lived it. So I can verify what he was saying was true. But it was certain little biased little things where he would say, you know, the affirmative action stuff, right? Affirmative action was mainly for white women. That shit didn't benefit black people. And he would say some shit like, well, when I look at a black pilot, I got to see if, is he qualified enough? Because, you know, he got it for affirmative action. Little shit like that. That was more of a hunky saying. That was that hunky that was coming out of him. Let's keep it 100. Self-preservation is more important than anything to anybody. So therefore, he gonna try to keep his race ahead of everybody. So little hunky shit that he would say like that, I knew that was coming from a white point of view. You see what I'm saying? But the true thing about affirmative action, it only helped white women and gay people. If you wasn't gay and you wasn't white, affirmative action didn't do shit to you, because if that was the case, more black men would have better jobs. You see what I'm saying? We'd have been the first ones. Now, what happened was they tried to replace the black man with the Latinos in the 90s, because the black man said, I'm not going to work for you no more. I see what you have done. You never gave me civil rights. When you did give me a little bit, you took it away before I was even old enough to even receive any type of school trades, because that's what they gave us, school trades where we can go and get our own business. So by the time the 80s came around and you threw crack into the communities and took away the schooling and all this other shit, we had no choice but to go to the streets. So I see the hunkinism what he tried to do, but I also seen the facts that he would come with Reaganomics, with Bill Clinton, with George Bush Jr. and Sr. You know what I'm saying? Whether he was the vice president or the president, with the Contra, Oliver North, and the Iran-Contra, Oliver North, and Ronald Reaganomics, when they put the crack into the black communities. See, I can go there. And I know when that's happened. So when he talked about certain little things, I knew he was speaking from a certain point of view. And with that certain point of view, you got to understand that I'm 50 years old. So I know I don't look like it. I know I don't look like I'm 50, but I'm 50 years old. I remember that shit like it was yesterday. I seen George Bush Sr. hold a sack of crack in his hand, said he bought it outside the White House. Come to find out, one of the FBI agents had one of his workers to come up and deliver it. And what happened was they arrested that man, and he's still in jail today because he was told to come and give that, and they had that same bag on TV, and that man doing time because something that George Bush told. And y'all don't know that, but see, when I could go into my archives and show you things that Charlie wasn't wrong about a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? As being a man and having kids and shit. You don't tell your damn kids that you got 1,000 genders out here. It's only a boy and a girl. Now, whoever had mental illness to start that type of shit, which I already know who did, what community started that shit, because it wasn't in our community. Yes, we have always had gay people in our community, but we didn't have people walking around talking about they are a man and they are a woman and this is impossible. You know what I'm saying? For this to happen. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have that problem. People was just gay. Now all of a sudden they talking about they trans dog and they trans babies and all this old weird ass shit. You know what I'm saying? So the mental illness started getting heavier. And what that man talked about when it comes down to the bacon, lettuce, tomatoes, and guacamole, that it's a mental illness. It's a pretty today's, because when you gay, you just gay. That's just a way that you have sex. But when you talking about you something other than what you really are, now the mental illness start kicking in. Now that you can see the mental illness in a person who can't recognize that, you know, normally you have 5 fingers, but if you grow something extra, an extra finger on, that's something abnormal. And it's during birth. You're saying this happened during birth, so therefore you were born like this. You're saying, so therefore you have a birth defect. If I have 6 fingers, that is a birth defect. If you're telling me that I'm looking at myself between my legs and I'm seeing something other than what's right there, that is a birth defect. That's a mental illness. And you can't put it, and he wasn't wrong for saying that. That's just natural. And anybody else that sit up there and want to debate that, you have a problem too. You sit up there teaching children this in school, you have a bigger problem. You understand what I'm saying? And Kirk wasn't wrong for saying the shit that he said. That's just human nature. Shit. Why we ain't diagnosing the problems with the people with the mental illness? You call about mental illness, but you ain't pointing it out. What is a mental illness? A mental illness is seeing something between your legs that's not there. Man, this coffee smells good. So at the end of the day, man, that man shouldn't have had to go through that because somebody else is in their emotions. You and your emotions. So much to the point where you do this to this man? Like, wow. Wow. Who taught you your social skills? It could have been a man. And if it was a man, it was one of the men that would be at the library dressed up looking like a... Because ain't no way in the world a man gonna tell you that you got to hurt somebody because he done proved you wrong. He done proved you wrong in your logic, right? Because that's what it is. You trying to make logic of being a homosexual, right? Or you trying to be make logic
to have somebody else to jump out of their intelligence to come down to a certain level of calling you the opposite sex as a norm. That's a mental illness. You think that I, who have a higher education, went through, paid for all these things to learn these things, and now I got to lower my education to put you in comfort by saying you are something that you're not. That's the white on white. Look at the illness. Now put your mind, these are people that got all the resources to go to a hospital to get therapy. These are people who got all the resources of the government. You know what I'm saying? They the white on whites. Why is there so many problems in the white on white communities and they got everything? You talk about black people who don't have nothing, don't even have the power to say, hey, man, you did me wrong and you owe me for it, and can't even get justice for that, right? But here go a race of people who have everything in the world. They can go bomb other countries and nobody's going to do anything about it. Nobody's going to say shit, go to war with you or anything. And you got all these wonderful things and resources and stuff, but you can't stop the white on white. You go to schools and churches and do the white on white. Why do you have all this money, all these resources, but you still have these problems that you can't correct? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Put my thing back down. You got all the resources in the world, vaccinations, and you got laws that you done made to smoke cannabis, and you know what I'm saying? You got all these things, these wonderful things in the world. You're supposed to be the perfect race, but you still got this white on white shit going on. Why y'all can't get it together? We know black people ain't got, the money and the resources, the land, and, you know what I'm saying, the wealth and the history. You know what I mean? We got all that. Was prohibiting us, but y'all say we still can do it, right? We still produce Michael Jordans out of all that misery. We still produce Maya Angelou's and John Singletons and Denzel Washingtons and stuff out of all the misery, hate, and pain that they have done to us historically. But you claim that the black on black shit is the ones that's really fucking up America. But look at the white on white. We don't make no laws. We ain't got too many people and no judges. We ain't got too many people that's working with the World Health Organizations. You know what I mean? We ain't got too many people working at the welfare office. You know what I'm saying? Who is the distributor giving out the money for the AIDS and stuff like that? That ain't nobody black. So when you come down to this, the people with everything in the motherfucking world can't stop they white on white. You talk about black people and they black on black, but what about these schools that in churches that these white on whites go to, these universities that they go to and do this shit? We learned that shit in higher learning when Remy was on the roof and trying to take out motherfuckers. That's their nature. Your social skills ain't even man enough. That's why they even invented the damn handcuffs and everything like that, because they wasn't man enough to go to Africa and do nothing, fight nobody man to man. Let me say that again. Never did they come to a land and straight up fight somebody fist to fist. You had chains and everything else, thunder sticks as they were called it. You didn't fight them one-on-one because you ain't man enough. That's why you made, what you call that shit, that MMA shit, because you ain't got enough skills to actually outbox nobody. You ain't got the rhythm in you to be a champion in boxing. So you create some shit that you got to choke and hit with elbows and all that type of shit. So the white on white is way worse than a black on black. They haven't even tried to stop or bring up the topic. This should be in the morning news. Another white on white. Another white on white has taken another. This is what should be on the news. But no, I bet you tonight, when you go goddamn me and talk about South Central, another black on black. Talk about St. Louis, another black on black. Talk about Chicago, another black. Talk about New York, another black on black. But every day in this country, we see some white on white shit go on, and not one time it's in the media. This y'all boy, this a political partner. And you should hear the people, check this out, when they asked for a moment of silence in the House of Representatives, why the Democrats said no. It was people yelling out no. They didn't want to take a moment of silence for this man. Think about that. You gotta hate another white person in order to say, no, I don't even want to celebrate his life by taking a moment of silence. It's a white bitch in the House of Representatives saying, no, they didn't want to take a moment of silence. That's white on white. You can't tell me, at least goddamn it, in the black community sometimes, you know what I'm saying? You have people, man, that was messed up what they did to him. Even the person, you know, people on the other side, they were like, nah, they did him wrong, man. They did him wrong. You know, here you go in the House of Representatives, a white bitch, which means that you're some type of government official, and they asking you to take a moment of silence for somebody who represented this entity, this foundation of government. He represented this, even though he probably wasn't totally a full part, but he was an activist for it. And you mean to tell me some white bitch is so fucked up in her white on whiteness, right? Her white on whiteness, that she will say no and not give this man a moment of silence? That's the person that would spit on somebody's grave. And that's what they would tell you. In their culture and community, they tell you, I'll spit on your grave, I'll pee on your grave, I'll do all this other shit. And they mean it. When they say, not over my daddy's blood, when they do that type of shit, oh, not over my daddy's blood, I'll do everybody. And they mean it. It be nothing but white people around. Look at the shit down in Vegas. When the motherfucker went and did that shit to the cowboy little thing, they had like a cowboy festival. And what's funny is a black young man, he saved like 15 to 22 people from being shot, with him being shot too, at a white on white event. You see what I'm saying? It was 300 motherfuckers that got messed up in Vegas after that situation, right? White on white. But nobody points the finger and say, man, look at the white on white. We need to stop this. We need to get rid of. You need to lock up all of them because look at them. They won't stop doing it. Huh? Y'all talk about black people in their community. Why y'all ain't talking about these white people in their community when they go to these schools, when they go to these events and do what they do? Why don't you lock up all of them? Ain't nobody on the media talking about locking their ass up as a whole. Because it's keep happening. Sandy Hooks. The Sandy Hook situation. What about that? The Columbine situation. Like I said, a couple of weeks ago, a week ago, they just had something at the Catholic schools and shit. What about that? Ain't nobody saying about that. Let's lock up all of them. Let's just get rid of them, like y'all do the black community, right? You say about the black community all the time. But just like Malcolm X said, the chicken that came home to roost. This is their own people that did that. We ain't got nothing to do with that. We ain't got a dog in the fight. I just feel sad because y'all did that shit to anybody. That's y'all people. Like I said, I agree with a lot of shit that man said. And the shit that I didn't agree with him. But I would never be thinking that I would stand on the roof some motherfucker word trying to do some shit like that. So I'm waiting on y'all motherfuckers talk about y'all. I want to see it in the newspaper, the white on white violence that we see all the time. Why we can't get over that? These are a race of people who have everything in the world as they claim. They are perfect in God's eyes. God blessed them over everybody else. Why the fuck these motherfuckers can't get it right then? Why? Since black people can't get it right because they poor and they lazy and all this stuff, here go a motherfucker supposed to work hard as a motherfucker. They got all the money. They so smart. They all in the government. Why they can't get their shit right? And I'll sit here and wait for any of you motherfuckers, Catholic, Christian, Muslims, Judaism, whatever the fuck you call yourself. Let me know why these motherfuckers can't get right. You got everything in the world. You could go bomb a country and nobody gonna say shit to you. Nobody gonna come and knock on your door talking about you gotta come and spend some time with us in the prison because you went and bombed the country. You went and killed the little girl. Matter of fact, y'all remember when they was over there in Guantanamo Bay and they had them Arabs laying on top of each other after 9/11? They was buck naked, had them taking pictures of them, laying them on top of each other and shit. That freaky deaky ass white people shit, right? That white on white shit. You know, they humiliating these motherfucking people out here, taking pictures, sending it back to home. It's all on the internet. White people ain't getting in trouble for that shit. They didn't get in trouble for that shit. Them people still locked up and abused and everything else. They didn't release them people after that shit happened to them. So nobody's in America get held accountable for it if you white. What's that little hunky name that they took to Burger King after they killed 9 black people in a church? They took that hunky to Burger King without handcuffs and got him something to eat before they took him to jail. Why the fuck they do that at? You gotta be white in this country to get away with murder. So this white on white shit, I just can't. Nobody gonna speak up about it. Nobody gonna say nothing about it. Nobody gonna say, hey man, when we gonna stop the white on white crime? When we gonna stop the white on white violence? When they go in and do this shit in schools and churches and buildings and shit, workplaces and shit like that. See, motherfuckers, nobody got an answer for that. We see it every day. We see white on white violence every day, all day. But you point the finger at black people as if they were fucking this country up. White people have fucked this country, fucked this world up more than anything that black people have ever done in this world. Let me say that again. White people have destroyed this planet way more than any fight or any black person killing each other in this country. The biggest and the most vicious animal on this planet has always been the white on white. Have nothing in this world killed more than anything, even God. Even God, when he murdered the world, right? Allegedly. They own God, they own white God, allegedly murdered the world, right? Even him who murdered the whole world can't tally up the murders that white people have done in this world, period. Since they've been let out the caves. Since they've been let out the caves, God himself have not unlived as many people than what the white man himself have done. In the name of God. In the name of God. So, I will say this, and I appreciate everybody that's on this live right now. I appreciate y'all. I don't do this shit for likes and hearts and shit, so I'm not asking you to do. I'm doing it for educational purpose only. When you look at this situation, it's a very sad situation because it's the direct results of what America tried to hide a gaping wound with band-aids, knowing that it needs stitches. See, we don't want to talk about the real problem, what's going on, and that has crippled America. When you do that, you got to look at white on white. White Democrats and white Republicans don't like each other. And the violence between these two parties have always been to the point where we see Abraham Lincoln. We see attempt on Ronald Reagan. We see the attempt on Trump. So this is funny. This is funny. This how you know when, because they put some little picture and you got to put the puzzle on there and do all this other. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get off of this, man. And maybe I can come back later if I get enough likes. Y'all like me, y'all friend request me or anything like that, man. I will come back on with this topic, because if not, I'm gonna try to download this and put it up so y'all can see it too as well. So friend request me or whatever it is to take or whatever, however, so you can get more content like this, man, because they not going to tell the truth. They not going to put it out here. So I'm just going to do what I got to do. I love y'all, man. The truth is what it is. Some people can't handle it. I think that's why that man is not here to this day, because he told the truth about a lot of stuff. And rather, you didn't like it, it didn't mean that it wasn't true. You know what I'm saying? Just because you didn't like what you didn't hear, you heard, doesn't mean it wasn't true. And it's sad that people like him and me, or our life has been threatened or trying to been taken because of things that you truly expose the truth with, instead of going along with everybody else being a get-along gang. You know what I'm saying? Lied to, or like somebody lied to you. So I love y'all, man. Keep it real. Always keep the arts going on. You know what I'm saying? The art is talking. Art is painting your expressions. You know what I'm saying? Always do your shit, man.